People of the world, welcome back to Send It Rising. I'm so glad that you're with us. It makes me so happy that my voice, the air in my diaphragm, is pushing through my vocal cords, creating a vibration that, for whatever reason, matches the resonance of a language that you understand. That language happens to be English. Puedo hablar en español si usted quiere, pero probablemente no. Or we could go with Zhongwen, Ingwe ni 不会说中文, but probably don't speak that either. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about how to get in touch with people that actually want to buy from you. 30,000 years ago, there was a caveman named Grug, and Grug was really good at making fires. And he would make these fires, and there were a bunch of looky-loos, people who were potential clients for Grug, but they wouldn't actually bring him meat in exchange for his fire-making services. And this was very upsetting to Grug. And Grug's problem is the same problem that you have. I don't care if it's the Yellow Pages 40 years ago, or if it's Google local service ads, or B2B sales, whatever it happens to be, same problem. It's a human problem. It's not enough just to get in front of somebody. You got to get in front of the right person. And the person that's going to tell us how to do that today is the master of getting you in front of your target customer, the person who actually wants to hire you, wants to buy your prehistoric fire making ability or widget or consulting or whatever it is that you happen to be selling, specifically B2B. Welcome back to the show. It's great to have him. He just got back. He's glowing because he was in the Mediterranean. It's Simon Severino, ladies and gentlemen.
I never was introduced in so many languages at once. Hello, everybody. Hello, Kellen. I'm excited to be here.
It's good to have you back. For those of you that do not know, Simon is the author of Strategy Sprints. He's also the CEO of a consulting firm, Strategy Sprints. I'll give you one guess what the name of his YouTube channel is. It's Simon is Hot. No, it's Strategy Sprints, ladies and gentlemen. So let's dive into what we were chatting about backstage, which is appointment setters. All right. So the entrepreneurs out there, if you're like me, you're going to get a million emails a day of people saying, I will set appointments for you with whoever you want. For us, we do personal injury attorneys. I've had a decent experience with it. Simon has another tale to tell. Tell us your experience with B2B appointment setting.
We coach a couple dozens of entrepreneurs per week in our sprint program. So how to double revenue in 90 days. And many of them try to shortcut making friends and closing the deal with external agencies that do it for them. 97% of them just waste time and go back to creating their own systems. 3% right now are kind of happy, but when I look deeper into that, I think it's something they could do easily themselves. And we have tried over the last 15 years, we have tried 3 agencies to book us people on a discovery call. That's how we call it. And we have stopped working with all of them after 3 months. One of them was very professional either, and I think they gave it their best. It seems not to work generally. I'm curious about your perspective. Right now, what we do with our clients is create, we call them revenue systems, repeatable messaging systems that are true to their voice and that for this reason are much more trust building, brand building, and it's more like making friends than really thinking in terms of funnel. I don't like the word sales funnel. I don't use it. I call it festival, because I think it's coming together with people and having fun. That's how marketing should feel like a party, like a festival, like something that you like doing with other people. And then the continuation of that is not on your side. The continuation of that is wherever it sparks joy, there will be more. And now you create the process of intensifying that. With some of them, you will go deeper, you will go more risky, you will dare to do real work. And that's where real friendship, right, begins, right? And so that's called closing. And in actually, it's an intensifying of something. Nothing ends there. It's the beginning of a work together. So also that word is, I don't think, very, very helpful. it's an intensification. And I think in terms of, okay, we're partners now. We are both all in now. We are into this now. And we both have skin in the game. This is a concept by Nassim Taleb that I think is really undervalued. How to create a situation where, of course, it's win-win, but also both have skin in the game 50-50. So many of our clients are agencies and they think they have to do work for the other side and then they ship it. That's not the best way to work together. The best way to work together, look what you did in the beginning. You didn't just say, this is Simon Severino, he's the CEO, hello Simon. You went all in into, you jumped into a leap into something. I was like, where is he going? Because you were giving everything, right? You were jumping into something to make it interesting for everybody. Win, win, win. For you, for the audience, for me, for everybody. So that is, going deeper, and that is the beginning of something. So can you outsource that? Maybe, but usually it doesn't work, and you can find a way to make it fun.
That is fascinating. I there's a lot I can learn from you, that's for sure. I have had really good success with public speaking. So when I get up there and I do my song and dance, I basically am a comedian. I'm just trying to get them to laugh at the end of the day. And I'm doing it through the vehicle of, oh yeah, by the way, here's all this internet marketing stuff that you may or may not be aware of. You probably don't have a clue. Let's go through these things. And I'm just trying to, I literally measure the success based on how many times they laugh. And I've gotten a lot of clients that way because people want to work with someone who's funny. If you can be funny and informative at the same time, then you're ahead of the vast majority of people who are just trying to, treat people like they're, I don't know, what's the word? Like a robot. Like, I will input this information into you now. You have this information now. That's why everyone's so big on storytelling and why that's such a big deal. My problem is that ever since the pandemic, I hate Zoom presentations. I hate them. I don't like them. I love in person. I do so much better in an actual physical room. So if I could get back in front of people in that way, I'd be excited about it. The reason why I like this appointment setting is because I'm actually in a room with someone who wants what it is we're selling. And for me, that's a lot better of an opportunity than some of the other strategies we've employed. And you can criticize what we've been doing because I'm sure there's ample, angles to criticize it. But on Instagram, we're getting like 4,000 or 5,000 views pretty regularly on posts, but doesn't turn into business. So social media has kind of been a bust for us in terms of actual revenue. And then I'm on this podcast. I've gotten a few partnerships that have been decent, but I'm building tons and tons and tons and tons of relationships with people. I'm interviewing people all of the time, and it very rarely, because it's surface. There's surface relationships. It's sort of like, oh, hey, we talk for each other for 30 minutes, and then we don't really keep in touch with each other, and that's the end of it. And so that's why I like this B2B appointment setting, because at least I'm in front of someone who's interested in what I'm selling.
Yes. And how warm are they? How cold? If you can create a sequence of experiences that is that you can automate and that agency can pull off, then I think it works. You might create a series of videos. We call it the RBS, the relationship building sequence. So, for example, guests that are on my show, they book a 25K strategy sprint afterwards, even if I have no intention of having them as a client. I'm just talking like you were talking to me.
Right.
But then after the show, they go, Simon, I want a sprint coach. and I go, how do you even know what it is? I were asking you questions all the time. Why do you know what I'm doing? And I said, Simon, it's impossible. Once I touch you, wherever I go, LinkedIn, YouTube, everything will start telling me strategy sprints. And so we have created what we call the relationship building sequence that basically creates a web of experiences. So on LinkedIn, you will see me, triggering conversations all the time. And because I like it. And so I have 3 kids. They call it making friends. When we go to the playground, they say, let's see if we can make friends. Right? So I think it's human nature. And so that's how I am. When I go on LinkedIn, I will like, okay, let's talk Bitcoin. Even if, it's not even the main topic of LinkedIn, but it's what interests me right now in this week. So I talk about that. And then we start conversations, we see what they need, we follow up. That's lead. Now you might call it a lead generation system. For me, it's just talking to people about the things that are front of my heart, and talking there where they hang out.
Yeah. So do you just do posts where you ask questions on LinkedIn?
We do everything. And so I can tell you our content creation system, we call it the refinery. And it's also what we implement with our clients. It's inspired by Gary Vee's pillar strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, create one pillar piece and then reuse it multiple times. So what we have done is, when we coach our clients, we implement a similar system to what I use. I have a limited time on Monday because I think marketing is not the most important thing in running a business. I think operations and sales are more important. So I give it myself, but I like it. It's fun. So on Monday morning, I have 2 hours of content creation. It's a set block. It says create content, Simon, and that's fixed. And so on Monday morning, I use my natural way, because everybody has a natural way. Maybe it's natural for you to write. Maybe it's natural to talk. So I'm a talker. I'm an Italian. I'm a talker. So, and I talk with my hands. So I click record and I talk into this thing here. And then I hand it over to my team and they reuse it 9 times. We call it the refinery because it's literally, it's an SOP, it's in Asana, but whatever project management you use or task management system you use, you create 8 fields like a Kanban board. First one you fill, and then they move it when it's done for the next. So out of that video, they transcribe it, and then they create a blog post on our website, strategysprints.com. Then they reuse it on LinkedIn to whatever is right now pushed by LinkedIn. So that's really important. You have to think per category, what are they pushing right now? Every social media has 1 or 2 features that they want to push this week. So you have to be a little bit attentive of what is it right now. Right now on LinkedIn, it's newsletters. If you do a newsletter, it's incredible how they push you. I think I get over 20,000 views on just a newsletter. Nice. Because they push it so much. And then the second thing that they currently push is polls. If you ask a question, right? And then you follow up on these polls, that's the best conversation process that you can have, lead gen process, in the B2B space. And it's free, right? We don't spend a dime on marketing, except on software. We prefer to spend on operations and sales. So the channel that you pick is based on where they hang out. So you define who you are here to serve, and then you observe where do they hang out. And then you obsess with the channel. And when that's running really well, then you diversify into all the others. And then you have a refinery. So Monday, what's natural to you? You pick your time, maybe it's 3 hours, you put it in there, and then you have your team reuse it. You can reuse it also with software that will resend it every 6 months. That's what we do. So the first one is reused as a blog post, then reused as a LinkedIn newsletter, then reused on Instagram, then reused on Facebook, then reused on YouTube, then sent an email to our newsletter in the first 30 minutes when it's released on YouTube, because you need those clicks on YouTube in the first half an hour for the algorithm. And so there's a specific flow until then Friday comes. And what's the last thing? So on Friday, the last thing is Michelle puts it into Meet Edgar, which is a software like Hootsuite that just, you can tell it, hey, every 6 months, repost this. So you pick just evergreen content. That's what I do, because then in 6 months, it will be reposted. Our audience will be half new people in 6 months. So it's fresh content for them. And that's how we create immense amounts of content with just me having fun Monday morning, 1.5 hours.
Right. So do you feel pressure on Monday morning? Are you Sunday night? Are you kind of rolling around going, what am I going to talk about? I got to,
I did. I did the first year. I was so nervous. I had a suit. I had a suit and tie. I had my wife who doing the makeup, and she was, "Oh, you have to do this.
Wow.
You need to do this." And then I couldn't speak into that camera because it doesn't laugh back at you.
Right.
So I was used when I do something, and people they have a body expression,
Yeah.
and I would work with that body feedback. Right?
Yeah.
There was feedback from this camera. I was freaking out. I was really freaking out. And for weeks, I took a trainer. She gave me lessons. She said, "This camera is a person." I said, "It's not a person." Yeah, imagine your kids. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was the trigger. Now I was imagining kids,
Ah.
and then talking to them. It opened my heart. I became a little bit more natural. And then all the masks and all the suits, etc., they fell off over
They
the
start
years,
shedding.
shedding all this stiffness.
Yeah.
So from year to year, I'm getting more natural, more improv, and more easy. And I think I'm opening more my heart, so to really share something, and I come more from the heart and less from something that I want to convey or something. No, it's the energy from heart to heart, being true, being here, being of service. That's
Yeah.
the only thing I care about. So on Monday, I'm not nervous anymore because I have the chance, the privilege to serve. So I'm here and I love it.
Yeah.
And the content, I never run out of content because during the week, I have an idea in the shower. I have an idea when I go running. I have a note, which is the Monday note. I put it in there. So
Yeah.
on Monday, when the time comes, I sit here on this desk. I have that note already full of ideas. I pick one, I run with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then is it a show? Is it a podcast? Are you just filming a video? What is it on
I
Monday
do a
morning?
video. I do just a video.
Yeah.
And then my team creates all kinds of stuff from that video. It becomes a YouTube thing, a newsletter, a LinkedIn poll. They go crazy with it 9 times.
Nice. I love that. I love that idea of, I mean, for what you do, you would think that the standard operating procedure would be you have to talk about business, right? Because you're a B2B sales organization, basically. I mean, perhaps I'm wrong about that, but it seems like it. And so do you ever find yourself just talking about like your dog limping over the weekend? I mean, like what, you know what I mean? Like what,
Yeah.
do you really go off topic or do you try to keep it business focused?
This is a very good question. So, because it's so relevant. It's so relevant because ideally you pick, ideally you know who you're here to serve. So I am here to serve the B2B business owners who run a business that makes right now 35K per month. They want to get to 70K per month as fast as possible. And their business is still dependent on them. Where they're on holiday, nothing happens, no sales. So we need to get them out of the weeds, and we want to double their revenue as quickly as possible. That's the people I'm here to serve, and that's what I can offer. That's the only thing that I'm doing since 21 years, so I'm the best at this. So ideally, I know who I'm here to serve, and ideally, I pick 3 of their main problems, and I will just post about that for the next 10 years. Ideally that, the problem, not the solution, the problem.
Mm.
Because I don't even remember 3 things, I picked just 2 of them, time and money. For 2 reasons. First, because I think they will always be their vital topics. It's evergreen. And second, I will never run out of passion about this topic because I have these topics also.
Mm-hmm.
So I will always have something. If it's a failure, a mistake, even better, because I share my real vulnerability and my real struggles. That's for branding. That's even better than when you have a solution. Mm-hmm. And if I have a solution, I share directly the tool. This is how I do it. And turns out, after, 2,000 pieces of content and getting a little bit of data around that, that's exactly the 2 pieces that they love. Time and money are the topics that they want to hear about. And both Simon fucked up And this is what Simon does. These are the two things that they want to know. So that's what I talk about, and I fuck up a lot of things every week. So I never run out of content. And sometimes I talk about lemons and melons because I was in the garden when I was doing it.
Sure.
And I always tie it back to business because I'm a business owner. So even if I'm talking about my struggles with my wife or with my kids or with my garden, yeah, it always ties back because I cannot separate my life from my business. When you run a business, it's just one thing.
That is so true. What's working for me is I take my shoes off and I go onto my electric longboard, and then I cruise around my neighborhood and I film my videos from my longboard because I love it. That thing's like an attachment of who I am. And so I had a great guest on the show the other day who said boredom precedes mastery. And what he meant by that was when you get to the point where you're like, I don't want to make another stupid video. Like, I'm bored of it. I'm bored of doing this. I don't want to do it anymore. He's like, now you're starting to get good. Now you're starting to get good at it. And I've been feeling that way lately because I'm just like, ugh, another one. What am I going to talk about? And so I started talking about completely different things, talking about how I believe digital marketing contracts are stupid. Because I've always felt that way. I feel like if you work with an agency, like, can you imagine an employee coming up to you being like, yes, I'd like to work at Strategy Sprints, but you have to hire me for 6 months, right? Like, you have to guarantee my employment for 6 months or I'm not going to work at your company. You'd be like, there's the door. It's been fun chatting with you, And yet digital agencies do that all the time. They walk right up to you and say, okay, you will employ us for 6 months. Sign here, dot here, initial here. I think it's so dumb.
I try.
Yeah, So I made a video about that, and so I'm in a similar space to you because I'm on episode 420 something of this show. Been doing it a long time, and a lot of that initial, what is it? Say what you think they want to hear has gone away, and now it's more, I don't care.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, I really
now
don't
you're
care.
getting deeper into your own longings. This is powerful. Let's stay with this because the power of setting boundaries for the creative process is important to everybody. Picasso did it, Hemingway did it. Everybody had their boundaries. Every designer does it. If you look at the great designers or the great Instagram channels, they pick their boundaries. Like, the most beautiful thing is when a photographer does only black and white. And
Sure.
you know that's tough. And they're longing for a blue, but they stick with it and they get better and better because they go deeper. There is a book that I love. It's called The Wisdom of No Escape.
Wow.
And it's written by Pema Chodron, who is a Buddhist teacher. And she goes, she's talking about retreats, Buddhist retreats, because you're stuck for a week and there is no Netflix. And so you are stuck with yourself, and this is where you get going. And I apply that principle to business and to marriage, of course, and to parenting, etc. But in business, you said at the beginning, Simon, his book is called Strategy Sprints, his company is called Strategy Sprints, his offer is called Strategy Sprints. So you see there is a potential here for getting bored to death after 2 weeks. But I'm not. And that's really the challenge, right? And that's really the challenge. Every day I talk Strategy Sprints. But look, we are talking 23 minutes. I didn't bore myself for a second so far. Why? You can make it a lively, real exploration, a real journey.
Yeah.
And
no, I love it. No, I do. I love it.
Making it alive, making it real, making it true.
It's funny. When I was it was my second job. I was 24 years old. I was teaching it was called the St. Paul Conservatory for Performing Artists. You're familiar with the castle in Harry Potter, Hogwarts, right?
Oh, Hogwarts, yeah.
That's exactly what it looked like. Like, if you look up the Landmark Center in downtown St. Paul, you will see the Hogwarts Castle, and that's where the school was.
You are dressed in black since that day.
I was what?
You are dressed in black.
Being all moody, dressed in black. But anyway, the reason I mentioned that is they had a teacher talent concert sort of event thing, and the band I was in at the time was called Send It Rising. And so Send It Rising was a band, and you know what I mean? And now it's a company, and it's also the YouTube channel. And for me, it was so funny because I was at the skate park not too long ago, and these kids were like, "Send it, bro." I'm like, "Say what now?" So I Googled it, and long before that was something people said, was this band called Send It Rising. And so I think it's funny that just by complete coincidence that became sort of a cultural way of describing like going for it.
Should
So
be your T-shirt.
yeah, right. Yeah, we should sell t-shirts, bro. Send It Rising. So for you, strategy sprints is like a verb. You know, it's everything. It's an adjective, it's a verb, it's a noun. It covers, it's your company, it's your ethos, it's your philosophy, it's blah, 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 blah.
It's just a boundary that I have picked. You have to pick your fights in life. And if you are married, you know that it was easy. Everything before was easy, the clubs, etc. Yeah, but the journey starts when you pick one. And so then it becomes real. Shit gets real. And the same thing with kids, because you cannot send them back to Amazon, right? It's real for them.
What's the return policy on children, Simon?
It's real. And the same thing with your business. Pick a fight. So I picked the fight 21 years ago when, consultants can consult on everything. And so you pick one fight. You are either the marketing or the sales or one fight. And so I picked the fight of strategy and sprint. Strategy is the question, what's the right thing to do to win?
Yeah.
And sprint is the question, how do we do it the best way this week? This is the fight that I have picked. And the only question that I was asking myself is, what is a fight I can imagine being passionate about for the next 15 years? Because you should be prepared that building a business is not a thing you can do in 3 years, especially if you want to really scale it, right? So I was thinking in 15 years. I gave myself 15 years. I'm now in the 5th year of this business. And it's scaled already globally. But I wanted to have 15 years, and I'm happy that I still have some room and I don't have the pressure, right? So what is the one fight that you want to pick, and what can you be passionate about for 15 years? And when we say passionate about, it doesn't mean that every day you are enthusiastic about it, but it means that you will not give up, that you will show up, and you will go deeper there.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. I think I feel like I'm much more interested in, how do you describe it, people than I am marketing. Right? Because I owned a real estate investment company. I had a Bitcoin company for a bit, but Send It Rising is by far the most profitable, most successful of the ventures. But in all of them, I don't like the method. I don't really care. Like I like working with people. I like finding strong, talented people that really love what they do, and then finding work for them. That's what I enjoy doing.
And I think that is important right there. There in NLP there is a whole set. I used to train executives in strategy, and one part was understand yourself and understand your biases. And so there was a set of 9 meta programs. Basically, how are you wired, right? And one set of these was asking, when you go to a new city, what's the first thing you want to check out? So some people want to go for buildings. Some people just sit in a piazza and look at the people.
Yep.
So, and then you are interested in people.
Yeah.
And this is important because now that you know how you are wired, you can now pick a long-term fight. And now you might say, all right, I'm interested in helping people. So that automatically brings you more into the B2B space than the B2C, because now it's not about mass, it's about individuals, and you are wired to do a high ticket, very deep involvement, few clients per year kind of thing. That is enough because it's so high ticket, it's so special, because you care about them. And if you don't care about them, then you should be more in the retail space and having thousands of them, so you don't know even who they are because you don't care. But if you care, you are destined for B2B. For
That is
personal,
so
what you
interesting. You
want.
know, I have never thought of B2B as a more intimate relationship, but it is. It absolutely is. And it's so funny because, yeah, B2C is sort of like, what does a generic person want on their hot dog? You know what I mean? What do the masses prefer? Do they want coffee with their hot dog? Well, I don't know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but it's always they. And of course, that's what we do for our clients, right? So we do work that targets them, but the relationship we're building is predominantly with one or two people at an organization, and we work with them for years.
Exactly. So, and this is important to find out how you are wired. And when you have that, you pick the fight and you stick with it forever. And then it's the roller coaster from there. You will have high days and bad days, etc. It doesn't matter. You have your fight. You have now your purpose, and that's now. From now, it's just serving. You are in service. You wake up. How can I serve? You do it.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't picked up any wisdom from this particular interview, you may not speak English because Simon has dropped some wisdom jewels all over the floor. You just got to pick them up and then use them. Go ahead and listen to it again. Just start the interview back from the beginning, as far as I'm concerned. I learned a lot. I like the Monday morning sort of 2-hour block concept. I think that's really cool. The consistency that's there is neat. And I really appreciate your time, Simon. I want to make sure that the folks know where they can reach you. They already know Strategy Sprints. Should they just swing by strategysprints.com?
Yes, you know what's fun? If they put Strategy Sprint anywhere in Google or Yahoo or even Bing, probably we pop up. We pop up because thousands of content pieces over years. We that word, that's us. We pop up. There is no other.
I love it. People of the world, you know the drill. YouTube.com/Send It Rising. If you want to see me barefoot longboarding on my amazing X-Way Flex electric remote controlled Wi-Fi enabled longboard spouting things about business and social media, that's TikTok.com/Send It Rising. Special thanks to our guest today, Simon Severino. What a pleasure to have you on the show. One final word of wisdom for our audience, Simon. Enlighten them.
I would say just keep rolling, keep doing your thing, hop onto your board again, whatever happens, just keep rolling. Capitalism is not the game about maximizing profits. It's about staying in the game longer than your competitors. So just keep rolling.
Ooh, I like that a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for swinging by the show today.